Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braj Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braj Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayorata Matava Kunja Bihari Hey Radha Matava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Paragraj, Jigacharya, Shatalasata Shishimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Shla Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brindi Ki, Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jaya Nitai, Go Premanande, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 9, chapter 2, chapter entitled The Dynasties of the Sons of Manu, text number 15. Kavi kaniyam vishayeshani spriso Vrivrija rajam sahabanda bhivanam Nivesha chitte purusham sarochiyam Vivesha kaishora vaya param gata Kavi kaniya vishe nispriyo Visheja rajan sahabanda birvanam Nivesha chitte purusham swarochisam Visesha kaishora vaya param gata Kavi kaniyan vishayeshu nispriho Vislijya Rajan Sahabandhu Birvanam Nivesha Chitte Purusham Swarochisham Visesha Kaishora Vaya Padam Gata. Kavi, another son, known as Kavi. Kaniyan, who was the youngest. Vishayeshu, immaterial enjoyments. Nispriha, being without attachment. Visrijja, after giving up. Rajam, his father's property. The kingdom. Saha Bandhubi, accompanied by friends. Vanam, the forest. Nivesha, keeping always. Chitte, within the core of the heart. Purusham, the Supreme Person. Swarochisham, self-effulgent. Vivesha, entered. Kaishoravaya, a young man, not fully in youth. Padam, the transcendental world. Gataha, entered. Translation and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Being reluctant to accept material enjoyment, Manu's youngest son, whose name was Kavi, gave up the kingdom before attaining full youth. Accompanied by his friends, he went to the forest, always thinking of the self-effulgent Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart. Thus he attained perfection. Translation responsively. Being reluctant to accept material enjoyment. Manu's youngest son, whose name was Kavi, gave up the kingdom before attaining full youth. Accompanied by his friends, he went to the forest, always thinking of the self-effulgent, Supreme Personality of Godhead, within the core of his heart. Thus he attained perfection. Text 16. From Karusha, another son of Manu, came the Kurusha dynasty, a family of Kshatriyas. The Kurusha Kshatriyas were the kings of the northern direction. They were celebrated protectors of Brahminical culture and were all firmly religious. Text 17. From the son of Manu, named Drishta, came a Kshatriya caste called Darshta, whose members achieved the position of Brahmanas in this world. Then from the son of Manu, named Nriga, came Sumati. From Sumati came Bhutajyoti, and from Bhutajyoti came Vasu. Purport. Here it is said, Shatram Brahma Bhuryam Gatam Shito. Although the Darshtas belonged to the Kshatriya caste, they were able to convert themselves into Brahmanas. This gives clear evidence supporting the following statement by Narada, Bhagavatam 7:11:35. If the qualities of one group are found in the men of another, those men should be recognized by their qualities, by their symptoms, not by the caste of the family in which they were born. Birth is not at all important. It is one's qualities that are stressed in all Vedic literature. Amagyan Timanandasha Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Mulitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bievacha Petitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I think last time I gave class it was Canto 8. So Canto 9 we must have started the last couple of weeks, I think. So it's very auspicious when you start a new canto or when you finish a canto. The beginning of the new canto, it's very auspicious, Mangala. And it means we're getting close to Canto 10. When I joined at the temple in 1989, then we were studying Canto 11. So we went all the way back through, went through Canto 10. Last time we did Canto 10, I think it was 2010. That was the last time we did it. So it looks like it's taking around about 15 years to go through the Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam means regularly. Nitya. Nitya means constant, eternal. Nityam Bhagavata Seva. You have to hear the Bhagavatam every day. Why was it spoken in 7 days? Because there are 7 days of the week. You have to hear it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and what's the other one? Sunday, yeah. You have to hear it every day of the week. If you can't physically sit in the class, then you have to at least hear online. You have to be hearing every day. Shravanam must be going on every day. Just like Kirtanam has to go on every day. You have to chant your rounds every day. So it means you also have to hear the Bhagavatam every day. You have to be hearing something every day. This is the process of purification. Just like my good friend Bhakti Prabhu, who came back from India recently. Now he's just arrived back from Melbourne. So he took a vow that he would read the whole Bhagavatam in Kartik. Right? Did you do that? Yeah, whole translation. The whole Bhagavatam in Kartik, right? You did it? Didn't complete. But anyway, so it was close. But the point is that we have to hear it constantly. You have to hear it every day. This is how we get purified in Krishna consciousness. You become purified when you're hearing constantly, right? Because Shravanam and Kirtanam are interdependent. You can't do one without the other. Why do we do Kirtan before we hear Bhagavatam? Because you have to purify your consciousness. You purify your consciousness through chanting, then you hear, then you will get realizations from the hearing. And vice versa. If you don't hear sufficiently, then when you chant, you will also not get realizations. Right? It's factual. How do you expect to advance in Krishna consciousness? The goal of Krishna consciousness is to become a pure devotee and advance. You're not supposed to stay a neophyte for your whole life. What was the point of joining the Hare Krishna movement? So I can stay a neophyte, I can be unsteady, going through anatta nivritti for my whole life and just fighting with my anattas, not becoming steady, not becoming fixed in Krishna's service, not developing a taste. Vasudev Kata Ruchi, not getting a taste for hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna. Is that the goal? Right? Sometimes devotees, they think, oh, Prabhuji, I'm not so advanced, I struggle so much. We all struggle. But you're not meant to struggle forever. You're meant to lift up. Just like one devotee, he went up to Prabhupada, up here in Prabhupada's room. He said, Prabhupada, I am a fool. Prabhupada said, yes, but do not stay a fool. You're not meant to stay a fool. Okay, maybe you're a fool now. Maybe you're a spaced out bhakta now. You're going to be a spaced out bhakta your whole life? You know? No. You know, one devotee one time, he put the, in most of the cars, unleaded petrol. So he put diesel or something into the car. And then the car had problems. You put the wrong petrol in the car will... So then one Swami was there, and he said, first become conscious, then become Krishna conscious. If you can't even work out which petrol to put in the car, how are you going to go back to Godhead? Right? You have to become materially competent. Rupa Goswami was materially competent. Right? Sanatana Goswami was materially competent. Prabhupada was extremely competent. Right? How will you go back to Godhead if you can't even work out which petrol to put in the car? Well, what will happen when you get to the spiritual world? You won't even know. Should I give Krishna this fruit or this drink or some spaced out bhakta or bhaktin, down the back of the kunja. Oh, what are they doing? Oh, I'm trying to. Which flowers should I get for Krishna? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you think the spiritual world is like that? The spiritual world is extremely organized. Right? All the devotees in the spiritual world are they're the most focused devotees in existence. Prabhupada was one of them. He came from that place. That's why Prabhupada was so expert. You see, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, when they came to the material world, they became the treasurer and the prime minister of the government. That's how powerful they were. Ramananda Roy also came from the spiritual world. He was running Madras, right? A whole state of India, right? On behalf of Maharaj Prataparudra. These were, when the devotees come to this world, they have so much Shakti. If they come from Goloka, they can easily run a country. Prabhupada would say sometimes, when devotees would make mistakes in their service, Prabhupada said, there are people your age running countries. Do you realize that? There are people your age running countries, right? And you can't even remember to, get enough cups for the catering event. And you can't remember where you put your Birkenstocks. Oh, where did I put my beads? Oh, Prabhuji, I can't find my japa beads. Oh, where's my bead? It's like, what is that? Right? And you expect to go back home, back to Godhead? What happens when you get to Goloka? You're running around looking for your beads. Oh, where are my beads? Where's the mridanga? Oh, Prabhuji, where's the mridanga? Oh, I can't find. That's not Goloka. One of the qualities of the spiritual world is attention to detail, right? When you become advanced in Krishna consciousness, you become extremely attentive to detail. You don't miss the details, right? Because the details are what counts in Krishna's service. Every detail. You think Krishna doesn't? Krishna notices everything you do. Krishna notices what you do even before you do it. He is seeing, are you doing it properly or not? Koma Prabhu, now famous devotee, he used to be here in Melbourne. You see, devotees clean the temple in the morning. Some devotee gets service to clean the temple. Koma Prabhu used to get a white glove and go around and see up there, like the little ledges, and just there, like little ledges. He used to rub his finger to see if there's dust. Cleaning the temple means you clean everything in the temple. Krishna can see what you're cleaning. Are you cleaning everything? Are you doing your service properly for Krishna? That's what Krishna is looking at. Attention to detail. Because if you forget something, Krishna will notice. Prabhupada would notice. Prabhupada would see all the time. Right? If someone's not serving properly, Prabhupada would see. One time, one devotee, he wanted to get Prabhupada's shoes. Prabhupada would come out of class, put on his shoes, and then walk. So one devotee, he wanted to get Prabhupada's shoes, so he brought the same shoes at the shop, right? And then put them there and took the ones Prabhupada had been wearing as prasad, and put those ones there. Prabhupada walked out, put the shoes on, right? And Prabhupada said, do not play games with the spiritual master. And Prabhupada knew straight away. As soon as he put the shoes, these are not my shoes. They look the same, but they're not. You know when you put new shoes on. They don't feel like old shoes. Prabhupada said, don't play games with the spiritual master. So the attention to detail. If you want to go back to Godhead, you have to be attentive in your service. Otherwise, you will never get to Goloka. Whenever we give class, we say, devotees, hands up if you want to go back to Godhead. Everyone goes, yeah, like that. No, if you really want to go back to Godhead, you get serious. One time my spiritual master was taking prasadam, and there was a picture, like one of these pictures was behind. And he looked at the picture, and he said, if you want to get into that picture, if you want to enter into the picture, if you want to enter into the pastimes of Krishna in the spiritual world, then he said, then you have to become very serious. Even when devotees come in and they offer obeisances, just like Prabhu just came in and offered obeisances, and just like lean down like that. Actually, that's not the correct way to offer obeisances. You come in and you offer full obeisances properly, then you sit. Some devotees, they get into this program where they just do this thing like that. That's not actually offering obeisances. I'm just pointing this out because we have to do things properly. That's what I'm talking about in devotional service. Everything has to be done properly, right? If you actually want to go back to the spiritual. That's why it says in Nectar of Devotion, don't bow down on one hand. It says that, right? This is actually the system. We have to follow all of the parts of the system properly. Because if you look at the Nectar of Devotion, which is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it says on Nectar of Devotion, it says Nectar of Devotion, then underneath, what does it say? The science. What does science mean? Science means you have to do things properly. You have to follow the experiment properly. If we don't have a taste for chanting Hare Krishna, if we don't have a taste for bhakti, if we're not enthusiastic about devotional service, sometimes it happens. Devotees become unenthusiastic. They lose their enthusiasm in devotional service. So sometimes if you lose your enthusiasm in devotional service, that means you are not following the process properly. That's all it means. There's nothing wrong with the process of bhakti. The abhideya. Abhideya means the process. Right? There's nothing wrong with the process. It means you're not applying the process properly. If you don't have a taste for chanting, that means you're chanting inattentively. Right? That's all it means. It means you're not chanting properly. Because if you chant properly, it says in Bhagavatam and in Shikshastika by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it says tears should come from your eyes if you're chanting properly. It actually says in Bhagavatam, Canto 2, if you chant and tears don't come from your eyes, it means your heart is steel framed. It means you're not chanting properly. Because if you're chanting properly, tears would come. As soon as you say Krishna, you say the two syllables, Krishna, then smaranam, or remembrance of Krishna, will come. Right? Automatically you will think, oh, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Right? And when you think about someone you love, tears come in the eyes. And because that's not happening to us, it means we're not chanting properly. That's what it means. It means we're not following the process. Because if you follow the process, romancha, kampashru, taranga, bhajo, right? You will feel ecstasy. You will feel something divine coming into your consciousness while you're chanting the holy names of Krishna. But you have to be attentive while you're chanting. If you're not chanting attentively, you won't get the result. Bahu jamma kariyari shravani kirtana. Bahu jamma. Bahu jamma means many lifetimes. You can chant attentively inattentively for many lifetimes if you want. No problem. You can keep coming back. You can keep getting born in Albert Park. You can keep coming around on Saturday morning, right? Listening to the class, right? And chanting inattentive japa and taking prasadam, right? You can keep doing it, there's no problem. You can come back lifetime after lifetime. But you won't get prema dan. What is prema dan? It means the goal, which is love of Godhead. Love of Godhead comes from attentive chanting. First chant attentively, then you can rise up to the platform of love of God. Love of God does not come easily, quickly. You have to pay the price. Are you willing to pay the price? Hands up, you're willing to pay the price. Okay, 4.5 devotees, 5 devotees, 6 devotees. Will pay the price, but you have to pay it. What is the price? This is spoken of by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What is the price? It is Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. You have to have faith. Do you have faith? You say, yes, I have faith. Okay, now, if you say you have faith, Krishna will test how much faith you have. Are you willing to give up your material desires and attachments for Krishna? Are you willing or not? Because if you're not willing, you will stay in the material world. Bahu jamma. If you have too much desire, too much attachment to material things, to material relationships, you'll stay here in this world. But if you develop Shraddha, Shraddha means spiritual life begins with Shraddha. When you get more Shraddha, what do? What's after Shraddha? Sadhu Sangha. So you go and find devotees, sadhus to associate with. Oh, where are the devotees? I need to associate with devotees. That means you have more faith. I will go and associate with the devotees instead of going to watch a Bollywood film. You want to spend your time watching Bollywood film or being with the devotees? That will be your Shraddha. If you have more faith, you will go and be with the devotees. If you have less faith, you'll go and watch the Bollywood film at Werribee Plaza in the smelly theatre. Right? So that depends on your faith. And then if you have more faith, what comes next? Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya. What does Kriya mean? Kriya means action, yeah. It means force. Force, like, when something hits something else, like force, right? That's Kriya. Kriya means like force, energy, action, like that, Kriya. Right? So Bhajana Kriya, what does bhajan mean? What is bhajan? Yeah, kirtan, but bhajan means worship. Bhajan. Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda Mutamate. Bhaja means to worship. So bhajana kriya means the devotees will give you a bit of a nudge. Hey, Prabhuji, you want to do some service? Oh, Prabhuji, yes, I want to do so. Okay, let's go. That's bhajana kriya. Prabhupada said this is a pushing movement. Devotees sometimes will give you a little bit of push. Hey, Jeev Jago, wake up. Go and do some service. You know, just like there's one devotee of Prabhupada, he's a disciple of Prabhupada. In Vrindavan, Prabhupada would go for morning walk. And then he would come back and he would walk into the temple. So this devotee, as Prabhupada would walk in the temple, he would chant shlokas, Sanskrit shlokas. We have met your divine grace by the will of providence. So you'd quote Bhagavatam, first canto, like that. We have, reading nice verses as Prabhupada walked in. Next day, Prabhupada went for morning walk. And he came back, devotee was standing at the gate reading nice verses. Prabhupada walked in. Third day, Prabhupada walked in, right? The devotee is standing there, and Prabhupada stopped, he put his cane down. He said, do some service. He said, do something practical. There's rubbish on the ground, pick it up. And then Prabhupada kept walking. Bhajana Kriya means devotees will push you a little bit. Come on, Prabhu, let's go. Seva. So much to do. The Hare Krishna movement is meant to save humanity in its darkest hour. Prabhupada said that would happen. He said the Hare Krishna movement will save humanity in its darkest hour. Do you think we're organized enough right now to do that? Maybe not. So we have to get more serious, right? We have to be very focused. We have to save humanity. When is the darkest hour coming? We don't know. Maybe next week. There's an eclipse on Sunday, right? When's the 30th? This Sunday? Yeah, this Sunday. So there's an eclipse. So everyone's saying, oh, it's going to be very bad. And maybe it is. What if it does happen? It could happen. Look at the world. It's ready. What if this Sunday is the last day? You're doing your little program there, you're chanting Hare Krishna, and then someone says, uh-oh, war just broke out. You don't know. Anything could happen. Radhanath Swami says, anything can happen at any time in the material world. Trust no future, no matter how bright. You don't know. What's the guarantee? Maybe it won't happen, but maybe it will. But we have to be very serious. A bhajana kriya means you have more faith that when the devotees begin to push you a little bit, and they say, come on, do so, then you have more faith. Yes, let me surrender to the devotees. Let me follow their desire, let me follow their will. And then what happens when you start doing service? What's next? Anatta nivritti. What does anatta mean? Anartha, what does it mean? Yeah, unwanted thing. Means, artha means something valuable, right? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha means something valuable. Anatta means not valuable. Anatta, nivritti means to remove, right? Remove. Unwanted things which are invaluable. We become attached to the most ridiculous things in this material world. To the most ridiculous things, right? You're attached to your Birkenstocks. You're attached to your iPhone, right? You're attached to your iPad, right? You're attached to your 3 doties, right? We're attached to so many things in this world. We get attached to ridiculous things in this world. So anatta nivritti means you have enough faith, when your faith increases in bhakti, you have enough faith to let go of these things. Right? Because if you hold on to them, you can't hold on to 2 things at once. Like, I'm holding on to the jug, right? So now, I try to put the cup in my hand at the same time, right? It's not very practical, is it? Right? You really can't do both at the same time. I mean, you can, but it's not very... So then you have to put down one, Now I can hold the other one. Right? So it means anatta nivritti means you have to let go of something. If you want to get Krishna, you have to let go of something. Right? Prabhupada explains that in order to understand how advanced we're becoming in Krishna consciousness, sometimes devotees wonder, am I advancing? What's the symptom of advancement? How do I know I'm advancing in Krishna consciousness? Right? You know you're advancing, Prabhupada says in Krishna book, when your material desires become less and Krishna becomes more. Right? It's like the scales, tula. Right? On the scales, if you take off on one side, put it on the other side, it will become heavier. Right? One will become light. So the less you give up your material desires, you take them off and you get rid of them, the more you can become attached to Krishna. And what is the result of becoming attached to Krishna? What's the result if you become attached to Krishna? What's the result? What will happen? Yeah, but that's afterwards. But what will happen if you become attached to Krishna? You'll become blissful. Then you know you're happy, right? You know you're happy in bhakti, in devotional service, right? When you are attached to Krishna. So you can only become attached to Krishna when you give up your attachments to material things. You have to let go of the material things. The more you let go of the material things, the more you become attached to Krishna. So that is the symptom of bhakti. That is called anatta nivritti. You gradually give up the material things, you become more attached to Krishna. And then what's next? What happens after anatta nivritti? Nishta. Nishta means steady, fixed. Right? Nishta. Like that. Because when your shraddha is strong and you've given up material things, you understand you don't have faith in material things, and you give up your attachment to material things, then what happens? You become steady and fixed. Prabhupada explains Nishta means when about 70% of your material desires are gone. Then you become like steady and fixed. Balaram Prabhu, who was the temple president before Aniruddha Prabhu, he asked Prabhupada here in Melbourne, he said, what is the qualification for someone to take second initiation in ISKCON, to become what we call Brahman initiation? Right? And what did Prabhupada say? They must be steady. Right? If you're steady, then you can take second initiation. It means you have to be reliable. You know, like Prabhuji's doing Aarti. Right? What day is it? Tuesday, right? So I give class when I come to Melbourne, sometimes on Tuesdays. And Prabhu is always there doing Aarti, right, at this time. That's steady. That's why he's allowed to do the service. Because he is steady, fixed, doesn't miss the service. That's when you become qualified to become a Brahmana. Right? It's called Nishta. Nishta means steady and fixed in bhakti. That's how you advance in Krishna consciousness. You have to become steady and fixed. We have to know that you will turn up to do your service. We have to know that you will turn up to do your service on time. Prabhupada said a Brahmana has to have two, or when you do deity worship, you have to have two qualities. What are the two qualities? What is it? Yeah, punctuality and cleanliness. If you're not clean, right, you can't do deity worship, right? Devotees don't always understand what cleanliness actually is, right? I did a seminar on cleanliness years ago. It's on YouTube, right? And we go through it very systematically. I was taught by Korma Prabhu and different devotees, you know. Sometimes devotees don't understand what is actually cleanliness. If you worship the deity, you have to be clean. And the other thing you have to be is punctual. You can't be late if you're doing deity worship. You know, Korma Prabhu used to sit outside before Mangalati. He used to sit out there in front of the deity room, and the Pujari would bring in the first offering for the deities, which is at 3:50. Is it? We still do 3:50? When's the Mangalati sweets offered? Or is it 4:10? Does anyone actually know? Okay, so it's either 350 or 410, I can't remember. It's 410. Yeah, 410. That's the answer I was looking for. Okay, so 410. So devotees are doing the offering, and Kornpuru is to sit outside, he's chanting his japa, looking at his watch, and seeing the devotees were ringing the bell right on 410. Because it has to be punctual. You're serving Krishna. You have to turn up on time. Just like when we come to greet the deities in the morning, Radhanath Swami always insists all the devotees have to be here before the curtains open. In ISKCON we develop bad habits, right? Sometimes we run in after the curtains are open. But Radhanath Swami insists, no, you have to be there before the curtains open. Why? Right? Because you should be waiting for Krishna. Punctuality. Just like the Queen of England, she passed away, but I know a number of devotees who met her and they said she was always on time. She would actually get to her appointments early. Prabhupada was like that also. Right? Always on time. Right? Just the doors would open, she would walk in. Right? Prabhupada was like that too, just always on time. That's what it means to do deity worship. You have to be punctual, you have to be clean. So this is called Anartha Nivritti. And when you get rid of the anarthas, you become steady and fixed. And that's your qualification to become a brahmana. And then what is after Nishta? No? Ruchi. What does ruchi mean? Right? That means taste. It's not like the taste we have now. We have taste for bhakti, because that's why we're here now. We have taste. But it's not that kind of taste. It's another level of taste. Where you have to hear about Krishna. Right? Prabhupada says you have to go to Mangalati. Right? No one has to wake you up. You're already awake, you're already there. Right? No one has to push you. Right? You just automatically will come. That's ruchi. When you get taste for Krishna consciousness. And then above ruchi is asakti. What is the difference between, because asakti means, ruchi means taste, asakti means attachment. What's the difference? Right? One is more intense. Asakti means you're attached to Krishna. What happens at the platform of asakti? Asakti means, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in Madhurya Kalambini that when you're on the platform of ruchi, you always think about Krishna, but sometimes your mind might go away to something else. And we all know what that means. Like we think about Krishna, but our mind just goes off to something else. So even on the platform of ruchi, sometimes it happens. But then on the platform of asakti, your mind just goes to Krishna and you don't even realize it. You're just washing the dishes or something, but then your mind just goes straight to Krishna. Bhajahure manna, Sri Nanda Nandana, Abhaya Charanara, Vindare. Your mind just goes to Krishna. So that means asakti. Asakti means attachment. At that point, you become so attached to Krishna, you start to understand what is your eternal relationship with Krishna. That's called asakti. From asakti, it then goes into what we call bhava. Bhava means the faith, because bhakti is all based on faith. It begins with shraddha, and as you go through the different levels, it just means your faith is increasing. Right? When you get to bhava, bhava means sentiment. It means you begin to have feelings for Krishna in particular sentiments, as a lover, as a friend, as a parent. Right? You have a particular sentiment begins to manifest in your consciousness. That is called bhava bhakti. And then you begin to understand your relationship. If you study chapter 4, 5, and 6 of Canto 1, you will see Narada, before he becomes Narada, he tells the story of how he became self-realized. Narada got to the platform of bhava. And at the platform of bhava, he had spurti of Krishna. He saw Krishna. Right? And then what happened? He disappeared. That's bhava. Bhava means you see Krishna, but he disappears, and then you become mad. then your consciousness cannot think of anything else but I need to see Krishna again. You know? And that bhava will lead you to prema. Bhava is called premankura, which means like the seed of prema. So when you have that feeling towards Krishna, that intense feeling, then that will go to prema, and prema means love, and then you will see Krishna face to face, which is, Prabhupada said, that is the goal of Krishna consciousness. You can see Krishna face to face, just like we see each other now. You can see Krishna like that. That's the goal. But that means you have to have complete faith. There is nothing under. Sandrananda Visheshatma. It means there is nothing else in your consciousness except Krishna. You can't be attached to anything else, not even tomatoes. Everything else has to leave your consciousness. Indujumna Swami came to see his disciple Braj Leela. In 1994, she left her body in Vrindavan, so he came to see her just before she left this world, her final hours. And Indujumna Swami said to her, he said, do you have any more material desires? She said, I have one desire, one material desire. Maharaj said, what is that? He said, I want to eat tomatoes. No? Are there tomatoes in the spiritual world? Indujumna Swami just smiled. No? He said, I'm sure Krishna will have tomatoes in the spiritual world. He said, just focus on Krishna. Just focus on Krishna. No? You don't have to worry. Everything can be there in the spiritual world. Krishna can fulfill your desires, don't worry. Just prema means you just serve Krishna. Krishna will give you everything that you desire. So, we're hearing here in the Bhagavatam about the sons of Manu. We started Canto 8, finished Canto 8, now we've gone into Canto 9. Canto 10 is coming very soon, which is very auspicious. Right? It's very blissful to speak on Canto 10. You know, when the Canto 10 verses come, you know, when they come, it's very blissful to speak on Krishna's pastimes. Right? So, here in the Bhagavatam, we're hearing the dynasties. Because Bhagavatam is a Purana. And a Purana must have 10 symptoms in order to be accepted as a Purana. And one of the symptoms of a Purana, it means that the genealogical table of the universe must be stated. So we have to hear about the Manus, which is one of the 10 subject matters in the Purana. We have to hear about the descendants who populate the universe. So that's what we're hearing about here. So I'll stop here. Are there any questions or comments in this material world? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. In the Bharat Maharaj's pastime, where he's at the level of bhava, it is said that his fall down was not due to any material desires, but it was due to aparad. So, just trying to understand that when we progress through anatta nivritti, nishta, ruchi, how is it that if you have some offense, how can you even elevate yourself all the way up to bhava? How does that work?
Because the vestiges of the offense were still present? Is that what you're asking? Or?
Yeah, because we often hear that if you make aparad, you can't progress in bhakti,
that's
right?
why it explains why he fell down. That's what you're asking?
Yeah, but how do you get to bhava?
Because it says the vestiges were there, right? So it means some offense was committed in a previous lifetime. Yeah, that's why we have to be very careful as devotees. Don't commit offenses. Right? Don't commit offenses. How many types of offenses are there?
10.
Four categories. Right? What are the 4 categories? Right? Seva aparad, Nam aparad, Vaishnava aparad, right? And then Jiva aparad. or jana aparad. I mean, just offending anyone. That's an offense. So you have to be careful, don't commit offenses. That's why we have to learn, that's why it's called the science of bhakti yoga. You have to learn if you don't even know what the offenses are, there's 10 offenses in the holy name, chanting the holy name. There's 10 offenses to the holy Dham. You have to learn them. If you're going to go and visit the Dham, you have to know what the 10 offenses are. You know, whenever I take devotees to the holy Dham, we always go through at the beginning of the trip the 10 offenses. Don't commit the 10 offenses, right, to the holy Dham. Right? So the offenses to the Dham, the offenses to the name, right? The offenses to Vaishnavas, right? The offenses to the deities. There's many offenses to the deities, right? Rupa Goswami in chapter 8 of the Nectar of Devotion, what's chapter 8 called? Nectar of Devotion. Offenses to be avoided. That's what the chapter's called. There's 64 offenses. 64 offenses. You have to learn what they are. If you don't know what they are, you might commit the offenses. So devotees have to study, they have to learn, they have to hear, they have to be trained so they don't commit offenses. So Bharat Maharaj committed some offense in the past, but then the question is, how could he get to Bhava if that offense somehow, you know, like if you're sincere, you may have committed an offense unknowingly. Right? So we're doing devotional service, we may have committed some offense, we're not really conscious or aware that we've done it, but we've done it. And then we keep progressing, but it's like it's there, it's coming with us. It's not holding us back, because maybe it's not a massive offense, but it's kind of there. Does it make sense? And somehow he got up there, but when he got to that level, right, then you really have to clear everything, because you're about to go close to Krishna. So maybe there was something there that affected him, his consciousness, you know, just something. That's why we have to be very careful. The point is you have to be very careful. You don't want to get that far and then become attached to a deer, no? Or a dog, or an antelope, or a giraffe, or a three-toed sloth. Right? You don't want to become, you might become attached to so many things. So be very careful, that's the point. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for coming. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Gauranga. Hari Hari. Vifale Janam.